There's another Wednesday. It feels nice to be back at our scheduled show time because the last few weeks I feel like we had to do it at some random times. Or I guess maybe just last week. But anyways, it just didn't feel right having a Wednesday without the show. So welcome. I see we got 10 of our friends here and we got a Fish. How you doing, Fish?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you? Once again, we are apart.
Uh-oh, are you talking? Talk again. It might be the microphone that's maybe making it so I can't hear you. Try again.
I am talking. I wonder if our friends in the Discord can let us know. Let us know.
All right.
Oh, I heard myself.
Well, I'm going to have to take out the microphones. For some reason, when my mic is plugged in, I can see you're talking, but I cannot hear you.
So. Oh, there we go. Technical difficulties. Okay, we're fixed now.
Yeah, okay, well, I was so excited because I finally got my mic working. Anyways, but how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've got some mad feedback, though.
Oh, interesting. Not much I can do about that. I moved my phone. Did that work? Well,
let me try calling back in.
Is it my feedback or your feedback?
I can hear myself in your audio. I think our friends listening can hear too.
I feel like every week it's different. Okay, I just put on headphones, so that should fix it.
You sound great now. Crystal clear.
Wait, what? Just by putting in headphones?
Oh, you sound better than I think I've ever heard you sound before.
Well, I have been practicing my vocals. Like, maybe those vocal lessons are finally paying off. Is that what you mean?
That's exactly what I mean.
Can you hear the vibrato in just my speaking voice?
It's beautiful. Award-winning.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, everybody. We're like the least professional hosts I've ever heard from your feedback.
What's funny about it is we do test this stuff and the tests are always fine. They always work great. And then we listen back to recordings and we're like, oh no, that's not at all what we heard.
Well, it's like when I look in the mirror in the morning and I'm like, oh, dang, I look great. And then you go out for the day and someone snaps a photo of you and you see it and you're like, oh, who's that?
I don't recognize her.
Who's that wearing my outfit?
Oh, goodness. Well, problem fixed. Great first 4 minutes of the show.
Yeah, welcome. Just shooting it off with a breeze today. I will also say that since last Friday, I wasn't feeling great last Friday till now. Guys, since then, I have come in and out of COVID. Bing, bing, bing. Oh. I can't believe it. I finally caught it. I'd never had it. And, gosh, I feel like I kind of asked for it by tempting fate when I went to Florida.
You did a little. Yeah.
And it's like I was pushing the envelope and being like, And anyways, while I was at Disney World, carelessly riding rides and smiling and eating cotton candy, and I, somewhere along the way, breathed in a COVID. So anyways.
I didn't somehow, which is mind-boggling to me because I feel like you and I are very we have to be in each other's space all the time, I mean, at one point I was fixing I was under your dress fixing a slip, and yet
they say that's where you get COVID the most. It's the most contagious. Never mind.
I guess I am immune.
The funny thing is when you caught COVID, I was right next to you, and I somehow didn't get it the last summer. And so,
more shocking about that is that we literally shared a water bottle all night long on stage because I was an irresponsible assistant and misplaced your water bottle. So in a fit of panic, I just gave you mine, and you drank my COVID water and didn't get COVID. which is shocking.
It's shocking because when you tested positive, everyone immediately looked at me and was like, well, Lindsey's going to get it because they're together all the time. And I even thought to myself, I drank out of her water last night, like through a whole show. And I couldn't believe it when day after day we kept doing the show and I kept testing negative. I was like, how is this even possible?
I was a little mad about it. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, come on. Oh, come on.
I felt invincible. Like I felt pretty like as if I was the chosen one until this week. Yeah, and then I realized, okay, I'm not the chosen one, you guys. Just want to make it clear.
Mickey humbled you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you think I got it from Mickey?
Oh my gosh. No, you didn't get it from Mickey. Mickey has never had COVID. Mickey's perfect and can do no wrong.
This is so true. Yeah. We're not going to disgrace the name of Mickey. I would never, but we did get to meet Mickey, and just props to the people that are in those costumes. Oh, sorry. Props to those characters.
Oh. Whoa. Whoa, if Seth is listening right now, he's crying. Mickey is real, Lindsey.
There's a reason I could never work for Disney, and this is one of them. I break the fourth wall in everything I do, and I apologize for those listening. Yes. But anyways, on a better note, I am feeling better, and I'm just excited that the world is still a happy place, and I'm living to tell the tale. But it's funny though, I haven't seen Fish in like how many days now? Like,
oh gosh, I want to say it's been like 5. I drove you over some essentials, but then I gave them to you from a distance. It was a mass distant way.
She like threw them at me and was like, "Good luck."
Yeah, don't breathe on me. Bye.
You're disgusting.
This is the longest we've been apart.
This is true.
For a while.
I'm going through fish withdrawals. I believe as you threw the things at me, you also yelled, "You're disgusting."
You're right. I did yell that, but I yell that anyway.
That's true.
Not just when you're sick. Yeah. Gosh, not even my boyfriend goes through fish withdrawals. Jeez.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. So I'm also really excited. We're going to invite Ben in like 2 minutes here, but really quick, I want to say that I am so stoked that not tomorrow, but the next day, we are having another tour call. And Fish and I, we get so excited when we think of little ideas for the tour. Like last night, I call her and we're brainstorming, partially because I was excited, partially because I was bored to tears by myself. So I was like, Fish, we need to brainstorm for tour. But we ended up coming up with a really fun idea that had us just both laughing so hard.
And crying. I was laughing so hard.
So the funny thing is it all came about because I said, Fish, we have the dancers in too many numbers. So we got to figure out something to do for one of the numbers that will, kind of make it so that we don't need dancers. And anyways, now I cannot wait to pitch this idea to the crew because, of course, they're going to be the ones that have to pull it off.
Our crew is going to quit. Everyone's going to quit.
I think that every year, but yet we have somehow they show up every time. They come back every year. I don't know how. I am so fortunate to have had, these wonderful people like Glenn and Andy and Alec. I have such a love-hate with all of them on their side, particularly from all the TikToks I drag them into to the shenanigans I ask them to pull off. And it's a good time. I'll never forget when Alec, when I told Alec that I wanted to fly and he basically just immediately was like, no.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I mean, just so fast. I mean, breakneck speed. Absolutely not.
Yeah. And then a week later,
you were flying.
I was flying up in the air. It's fine. It's fine. I love you. And Alec, you're the freaking best if you're listening, but I know he's not because
he's not listening.
Yeah, I know.
But you know who is listening? Andy. Andy always listens. So thank you, Andy.
Andy's the freaking best. We love you, Andy. And we love all the fans that come back every week to listen, and also all the fans on Discord. Thanks for listening as well. But with no further ado, I want to invite our next guest in. I'm so excited to talk to him. Ben Harper, he is an incredible musician. He is such a true artist. He has done 17 albums.
Oh my gosh.
Did you know that?
I can't even, like, watching the process of you write an album has made me respect people who put together albums so much. There's so much that goes into it. I couldn't imagine 17.
Can't imagine 17. I mean, I just finished, album 6, and 2 of those I feel like are half like cheating albums because they're Christmas albums. Like writing original albums is a different beast than writing a Christmas album. So I will say I've written 4 original albums. He's written 17. But anyways, before I go on too much, I respect him so much. I want to bring him on. So I am inviting Ben in right now to the call. This
is great waiting music.
Thank you. It goes along with the vocal lessons I've been taking for the last few years. Hey, Ben, how are you? Let's see. I think you have to press the little microphone mute button. There we go.
Got it. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited to chat with you today. Where are you calling from?
I am in Paris.
In Paris, okay. So your team told me it was going to be super late where you were calling from. So like, what time is it there right now?
It's 2:12.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for like being up this late. Is this normal for you? Are you a night owl or yeah?
This is great. It works perfect.
I think it must be like an artist thing or a musician thing because I'm the same way. It doesn't matter what hemisphere or what side of the world I'm on. I cannot go to bed before 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning anyway. Our body clocks are just broken.
Completely.
So are you, what took you to Paris?
I've moved here for the time being.
Oh, that's amazing. How long have you been there and how do you like it?
Been here a couple of weeks now, so not long at all, and I love it.
I will say Paris is like as much of a cliche as it is, it's my favorite city in the world. Like it's something so magical about it. Why did you move to Paris?
I love it here. I always have. And I've been aiming to get here for a long time.
So you're living the dream.
Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles right now. So it's middle of the day and it's sunny. You've lived in LA, right?
Yeah, I'm from LA, born and raised in the Inland Empire. And yeah, know it well.
Yeah, these are your stomping grounds. Well, maybe someday I will make it out to Paris to live out like that dream as well, because that just sounds magical.
Yeah, I mean, Paris and the violin have a very close relationship, right?
It does. Yeah. That romance, that just seems to be alive and well there. It does seem very fitting that's where I'll retire and just play on the bridge, with my hat on the ground. It feels right.
Well, I'll up and take the guitar out of the case and we'll have a duet for Paris.
Ooh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, is the guitar, that's your main instrument, right?
Lap steel guitar is my main.
Amazing. And so you have, oh my gosh, I'm feeding back. Sorry, I don't know if I'm feeding back on your end. Fish, let me know if I am.
So I think, Ben, you wouldn't happen to have a pair of headphones. We find that this typically fixes the problem when we plug in some headphones.
Yes, I'm going to desperately find headphones. Give me 1 second.
No worries. Take your time. This seems to be an in-app problem, so no worries.
Sorry, we actually just discovered this while we were waiting for you to come on with my audio.
That is the reason I know how to fix it.
Like we just troubleshot this a second ago. But man, I guess Fish, you were with me last time we went to Paris, right?
Yes, yeah. That, oh my goodness. What an incredible city. I went on a pastry tour with
What?
Alec actually. We
Why
tried
wasn't I
all
on
the
this?
different oh, you know. We tried many pastries and cheeses and just both of us love that city so much.
You know, and Ben, feel free to weigh in, but I think that Paris has the best, like, I had the best cheese sandwich of my life there. It was, and that's all it was just a baguette with cheese on it. And it was like one of the best things I've ever had. So
yeah, they definitely do cheese better than we do.
Yeah, I believe that there are some cheeses over there that are illegal here. Just because of FDA regulations, but it just sounds cool to say that it's like illegal cheese.
The better cheese.
Makes me feel like I'm edgy.
Oh, wait. Let's see. Ben, can we hear you?
Yeah, but illegal cheese has got to be an album title.
100%. And I mean, since you live in Paris, I feel like you could, that could be your next album.
All right, give me a second. I'm still hunting down headphones. Hold on.
Okay.
You
so sorry about
a lot
this.
Better there, but yeah, we'll just have to watch feedback.
I feel like, especially with all the new phone, their plugins and everything, it becomes increasingly difficult to quickly find a set of headphones because you're like, I need an adapter and I need this. And
I used to have dozens of them all over the house, and I could not tell you where, besides my AirPods, I could not tell you where a pair of like normal headphones are anymore.
I know. Finally, last Christmas, I got a pair of AirPods for Christmas. I lost them the first day.
I was going to say, I've never seen you with AirPods before.
Because I lost them in the airport on the way home from Christmas, like with my family. I used them for like 30 seconds on a call and then they were gone. I just was like, I have no business owning something that's not attached to anything. Like, what? I'd lose my head if it wasn't like strung to my body. So,
I mean, you're not wrong. None of that surprises me at all. But now I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. So
I'll have to like make a plan, for said AirPods and somehow learn how to keep them.
If it makes you feel any better, I constantly misplace mine, and I've gotten very lucky about finding them every time. I actually, funny enough, today I bought a tile to stick to my AirPod case so that I can find it when I lose it. Yeah. Those tiles, they fix everything except missing car keys.
Oh, well, when you don't attach them to the car keys. Actually, while we're waiting for Ben, I think I'm going to play one of his songs.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah, this is the title track of, it's the first single off his new album. And so we'll go ahead and play this. It's called We Need to Talk About It. And then when he comes back, I would love for him to talk to us about what it means. So here we go.
Chills.
I know. So good, right?
Oh my gosh, what an incredible song.
Yeah. Wow. And he actually released this right before Juneteenth this year. And, he described it as a song about the long-lasting wounds of slavery. And we obviously lost him, so I hope he calls back in.
Yeah, I think they're troubleshooting right now, so we'll definitely keep checking in to try to get him back on here.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I've thought a lot about, I guess I've thought about racism a lot differently over just the last 2 years. And I've mentioned several times how much the beginning of COVID and when Black Lives Matter happened, I guess not when it happened, but, with the death of George Floyd and when all of these, displays of protests and, all of those amazing things that happened during that time really shook me and made me realize that it was so important to not just, not be racist, but to be anti-racist and to stand for, because it's not enough, because things that there are long-lasting wounds that came from the choices of our ancestors, and those don't just go away by us pretending that everything's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's And, you know, I've always felt like I was informed on these things. And I think the last couple of years have shown me that while I did feel like I was informed, there was so much more that I needed to be informed about. And I think it was an eye-opening experience and a lesson in education for a lot of people. And I am moved that so many people were willing to open their eyes and absorb and learn and listen and be ready to, you know, shift their hearts and shift their minds.
Yeah. And I don't know. I used to get kind of defensive about the ideas when people would say things like white privilege. I really would get defensive because I thought that meant that, you know, I didn't deserve what I had because apparently I just got it because I was white and privileged. And I've since learned that, like, of course I'm privileged because of my skin, and that's not fair. And for me to pretend like that's not true just shows that I'm putting on blinders. And it shows that, you know, it just kind of shows the shame that we carry and that I carried for a long time because I just wasn't brave enough to even like look myself in the mirror and accept that maybe I was given opportunities that other people weren't, because that's hard to swallow. That's hard to accept. Because it does make you think about the world differently. And it makes you own a responsibility of like, well, how can I make this better? And sometimes the answer of today is, well, I don't know, but I'm going to look for opportunities tomorrow, or, you know, I'm going to try to find, but I don't know, what, have you always been pretty aware?
I was very lucky that I grew up in a community that taught the concept that racism is wrong, but it was also a like 97% white community. So I had kind of a weird experience where I was taught the correct things, but in practice, we weren't shown the right examples, if that makes sense. So I entered adulthood with the concepts and the ideas that, yes, of course, racism is wrong, but I didn't have the real world knowledge of actually seeing how it was still a thing in our society today. I didn't understand like how it was systemic, and I didn't understand, you know, how deep rooted it was. I kind of had a naive, you know, blissfully naive idea that, you know, it was something that, yeah, it still existed, but it was mostly in the past. And I think my rude awakening was that, oh goodness, it is very much still here. And it is very much still a huge problem in a way that we just weren't really shown as, you know, children or teenagers or even just young adults. Like, we were not taught that, I think. Yeah.
Very similar to me, you know, my experience. And I think what really shook me the most was that even amongst societies or part of our culture that like aren't racist right now, systemic racism is something that goes unseen. And it's not by any predetermined bias that we even realize we have. It comes from the fact that like systems have been set up and are in place that have had this ripple effect that make it so that, you know, these families are in lower income areas, which send, you know, their kids go to lower income schools, which then make, you know, it's like this ripple, and goes to show like, oh my gosh, I may not be racist, but I'm a part of a society that was built upon racism, and still those effects exist today in a very real way for so many people.
Yeah, I was actually just this morning, I was listening to an incredibly powerful NPR piece just this morning, and if people want to listen to it, they can probably easily find it on KCRW's site. But it was about a gentleman who grew up in the Watts area of Los Angeles, and you know, at the age of, I think it was 12, his, you know, peers got him involved in gang life, and he ended up stealing a bicycle, and that put him in juvie, and then that led to, you know, adulthood, where he ended up in jail because he couldn't go to school like the rest of us do. And you know, it was just this avalanche effect because of society failing him as a child. And the NPR piece was about a college program that had been put in place, and he was able to attend university behind bars and was released early because of it, and was able to continue his education outside of the system. And it was incredibly like uplifting and inspiring. And it gave me chills the whole time I was listening to it. And, you know, you and I have talked about this, just recidivism being such a problem and people returning to jail because the system just consistently fails them. And I think those topics are so much more visible now after the last decade, and what there was blindfolds getting torn off of us. And, you know, those of us who are privileged seeing the truth out there and what's happening. And, you know, I will say I often feel very powerless. I often feel very helpless. Like, what can I do besides vote and besides put my, you know, wallet where it needs to be? But I guess just being able to listen is the absolute least that we can do.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think about it like awareness is the first step in any change process.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's like your own mental health or political issues or environmental issues, it all starts with just being like, oh, shoot, there's a problem here. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The blindfold is ripped off. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so once you see things and once you, like you said, start to listen, start to hear other perspectives, that's when you then start to see things. You'll start to see opportunities. And, you know, my sisters and I were recently talking about this with just all these different things, whether it's gun control or, you know, Planned Parenthood or just all these things that are happening right now that I think make so many people feel powerless. You know, one of my sisters was like, I just want to crawl in a hole and I can't. And then my other sister said, just pick one thing.
Yeah.
You know, pick one. She's like, you've got kids right now that are going to school. I'm sure gun control is a terrifying topic for you. Pick one. And if that's it, you know, go to your school. Like, talk to your school board, vote for the people, like go to events, like learn about your constitutional rights. Like, you know, my sister Jennifer was like, just pick one and then start to research what's in your own backyard and what's in your area and start in your little community.
Start locally. Yeah.
You know,
actually something I want to touch on is that I think the definition of privileged is very misunderstood when it comes to this topic.
Hit me. I want to hear it.
At least I feel like people in my life personally, those who maybe have a harder time with this concept, hear the word privileged and don't quite understand that doesn't necessarily mean that they're being, I don't know if it's the right way to say, like, given something or what privilege means in this context is that because of the color of your skin, the assumptions that are made about you, the opportunities that are afforded to you come easier because of the history. And that, I think people often misunderstand when the word privilege is used. And maybe that's why some people that like you and I know in our life react angrily towards it, because they feel shame in it. They feel like, you know, well, I'm not privileged. I had to work for it. Well, yeah, okay.
Right.
But and I think that is something that I always see people get a little hung up on. And I have to stress that learning what privileged means in this context is incredibly important. And I urge everybody to do it.
Yes. No, I love that definition. And I'll just add my own thoughts. It really struck me when I finally defined it for myself that, oh, it doesn't mean that my race or my skin tone or my upbringing, it doesn't mean it handed everything to me. It just means it didn't work against me in this system because of the history, you know, like it hasn't taken anything, you know, from me by being what I am. And that's not the case for some people. And, you know, I have a close friend who actually told me a story that I was like, that's to me a perfect example of privilege. He said that he and his friends were on a road trip when he was in high school, and they were it was when weed was illegal. And he and his friend in the back seat were like, you know, doing some weed or they had some weed on them. That's all it was. And the guys that were driving didn't know that. And so they're driving and they crossed the border into California, and they were freaking out and they were like trying to hide it without their friends in the front seat knowing. And his buddy like blew through the border, and the cop yells at him and was like, "What the heck?" And his friend just turned around, and it's a car of white boys. And he just like leaned out the window and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And the cop just shrugged and like let him drive on, because he's like 100% because it was a car full of like smiling white teenage boys. And he's like,
that makes me so sad. It just makes my skin crawl.
Had been a car full of, someone of a, different race.
Yeah.
The cops would not have let them blow through the border. They would have pulled them over, treated them to the highest degree, and he probably would have ended up in juvenile jail.
Yeah.
So, and this is a good guy. This is like, these are good kids. It's not, anyways, it just, I think we have Ben back. Thank heavens.
Let's give it a try.
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Fingers crossed. Hey, Ben, is your microphone working?
So last I saw, he was saying that the app wasn't letting him unmute, but I think they were trying to find a workaround for that.
Oh, shoot. Do you have a text thread with his group? Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Let's see. It looks like you're unmuted. Try talking. Oh, shoot.
Well.
Am I here?
Close. Oh, that's great.
Wait. There you are. Hi.
I had to skate down to the local all night market and get some phones because my phone. I've got crazy headphone drama in this house.
Oh my gosh!
I am so sorry, but wow, you made good time. That was like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
No. And Paris is not an all night city, but there's one late night spot that has this kind of fare. So I was able to just like make the purchase, skate back to the spot. So I'm here.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming back. We did listen to We Need to Talk About It. And anyways, Fish and I were just talking about how it literally gave us chills. It's such a powerful song.
Thank you for playing it. Thank you.
So I want to have you talk to us about the inspiration and process behind writing this song and just what it means to you.
Well, Lindsey, you know how when a song comes, you just have to grab at it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of, in some things, there's some songs that kind of stare you down, like they dare you. I dare you to record this. I dare you to put this out. Like, that was one of those songs.
Got you. Was it like the lyrics just came to you, or was there an experience that you were just made aware that you needed to say this?
I think it's both. I think the experience informs the lyrics, as it often does for me. And so with this particular song, I had the entire thing finished except for the first verse. I didn't have the entry point, but once I got that, it was game on. Yeah.
And you released it just a few weeks ago, right before Juneteenth, which I think is really powerful. And was this a song you wrote, the title of your album is Bloodline Maintenance. And so I guess what was the goal with this new album, and where does the title come from?
I heard before I was on air, I heard you and Fish discussing like 17 records. And it is where songs come from is like asking a 4-year-old where babies come from. Like I figure when I was just getting into this business, people would say, and I heard this often, oh, you'll probably make 1 or 2 records and then, you'll go back to your day job kind of thing. And I figured, well, it is hard to do. Maybe they're right, because I've always figured that after every record I surrender, after every record I've ever made, I just figure, well, that's the last time I get to do that.
Oh.
Because it's that hard.
Yeah.
Emotionally and just on all kinds of levels. It just takes a lot, as you know better than I do, as good as I do, to make a record. It's quite a feat.
Yeah, it's honestly, I've never had children personally, but from all my friends and my sisters that have had babies, it sounds like a very similar painful in a different way kind of process where after they have a kid, they're always like, I'm never doing that again. But then,
okay.
It gets romanticized. And in our case, it's like you start to get different ideas and suddenly it sounds romantic and exciting again to create music until you get back in the trenches and you're like, this is freaking hard.
And then, especially when you let other people's opinion and perspective in, which is wise to do, I guess. It expands what you do. It expands your music and it makes what you do better. But yeah, there are those moments in the studio where have you ever walked out of a session?
Oh gosh. I've definitely ended sessions where I was like, wow, we're just not going anywhere. But I've never stormed out of a session. I don't know if you meant like dramatically, but have you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, you just have to, it's like, this is it. I got just like exit stage left, just out. Like I gotta, let's try this again tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a brave and a bold move because sometimes that nothing is coming and, part of you is like, oh, I should be polite and finish the session. But deep down, a lot of times, that everybody's just kind of wasting their time being polite at a certain point.
Yeah.
So no, that's a bold and a brave move.
I don't want to overstate it or over exaggerate it. I mean, there are gigs that are really hard, Yeah. But when it comes to the creative, it's I never know if I'll get to do it again.
That's a really beautiful way of looking at it. And like remind yourself like what a gift it is. Cause sometimes it is kind of hard and you feel like you're pulling but then to remind yourself like, no, this is really special. And you've gotten to do it 17 times now. And that each time is a gift. Do you feel like the writing process for you is it something that you have to like work really hard for and kind of lock yourself in a room? Or is it more like flowing for you and you just kind of get ideas all the time?
I'm curious what that red ring around his name means.
I have faith. He's coming back. Or maybe it was just that bad of a question.
He's like, peace, I'm out.
He's like I leave some sessions, I'm leaving this interview. I'm like, dang it, I didn't pass the test.
Oh my gosh. I am so hooked on all of everything he has to say. I need to hear. Oh, I wonder if it's a connection issue.
I know that red ring. I don't like it.
We've never seen that before.
It almost is like mesmerizing when you look at it.
I know, right? It has like a nice like pattern to it.
It's like kind of putting me in a trance a little bit. Dang it. I was really excited to ask him these questions.
I will say, oh no, go ahead.
Oh, well, okay. Hopefully he'll call back in. I will say I love what he said. And I'm going to put that into practice. Like as I'm starting again to write where at the end of every session, not only every album, but to look at it and say, hey, like this could be my last one, like I need to make it special. I need to be grateful for it. Cause sometimes they do become a little too routine and just reminding yourself every day that like, you never know when your inspiration is going to stop. And not to put that out there and say it is, but just to remind yourself that every time you get inspired, it's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also really love to, I mean, I've said this jokingly, I'd love to see you walk out of a session someday.
I know. I honestly wish I had the courage to be like, all right, I'm out.
Just take your violin and go. I'm taking my violin and going home.
I wonder what it would take to make me leave a session. I'm going to tell a really funny story that I don't think I've told on here once. And this would have been a perfect opportunity to like pick up my violin and be like, I'm out. But I didn't. I'm pretty sure I told you this. But anytime you go into a session with an artist or producer, you usually do your research, especially if you're on the writer side. Oh, wait, I'm going to stop my story because he's back.
Go for it.
I'll finish that story later. Because it's not that important.
I'm sure it's important. You're important, Lindsey.
Oh, why, thank you, Fish. I appreciate that. The validation is very nice. Okay,
back.
Ben. You're back.
I just can't move. I have to stay in exactly one place. I'm not going to move.
Are you like standing on one leg with like your arm out to the side, not moving?
Exactly, with like an entire roll of tinfoil pointed to the sky.
This is a great visual. Well, what I was asking right before we lost you was, I was curious how the writing process is for you. Like if it's something you really have to like work for and you have to like kind of force yourself into the studio this time, or if it's more just like you get ideas and grab a pen and paper and just write wherever you're at.
Wherever I'm at. And yes, it's all of the above. It's cutting up words and throwing them into a hat. It's leaving a movie to write a song when it comes to you in the middle of a film. Just leaving, just like bye. It's like having people around me who actually understand that if, I'm at a kid's birthday party and suddenly I've gone MIA, just because I had to finish the idea like right when it comes, because if I don't, it's gone it's gone, it's done.
It's so true.
Yeah,
I love it. I was
you
supposed
find
to
that
have
too?
Well, it was really funny. I'm actually not as much that way. I kind of have to stop and force myself to write music and lock myself in a room and just like be patient enough for the ideas to come then.
Okay.
But I was
Okay.
I had a call scheduled with like Amy Lee a few weeks ago, and it was funny. She texted me. She's like, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to postpone because I'm chasing creativity." And I just loved that, because that's exactly what you're describing, where it's like,
yes.
She was like, I had an idea, I couldn't lose it, and I just knew I couldn't have the call at that time. So, yeah,
it was nice.
Sorry, what?
Picked up. It was nice she picked up. And also, I want to go on record. I'm not just like crashing some random. It's nice she even picked up to tell you, like, hey, I'm in the thick of it,
Right. Yeah. She was like, hey, got to postpone. Talk to you later. And I respect that so much.
Yeah. Now I want to go on record too. Like, I don't just cry. I'm not just crashing some random kid's birthday party and then I'm writing a song. Like I'm with my kids at a kid's birthday party.
Oh, I figured. I assumed as much, but the other visual is funny as well. How many kids do you have?
I have 6, ranging from 26 to 5 years old.
Oh my goodness!
To 2 years old.
Wow, that's crazy.
25 to 2.
25
she just
to
acts
2.
like a 5-year-old. Yes.
She's just a real mature one.
Yes, Mana. You play my favorite instrument.
Oh, well, thank you.
Violin is my favorite instrument. I grew up in a music store. Our family has owned a music store with the entire string instrument family. And to some, that means when people say string instrument family, that means violins, violas, cellos, upright bass. But some people would think banjo. We also sold banjos and guitars and bowed psalteries and all kinds of other eccentric string instruments. But when people refer to this, just so for the listeners out there, when people say the string instrument family, that's a classical term for violin related instruments. So I grew up, we've been open for 58 years. No, excuse me. We were opened in 1958. My son is the 5th generation to help run it. And we've been open now for almost 65 years, Claremont Folk Music Center.
Wow, that's amazing. Where's this at?
It's in Claremont, California, just on your way to Coachella. Just pull off the Indian Hill exit and go north.
Oh my gosh, well that is so cool.
I grew up re-hairing violin bows. I could restring your bow. I could be your tech. Let's put it that way.
Well, you'd probably be the most famous and expensive tech I could ever find, but that's really cool.
No, I just for lunch, that'd be it. Just feed me, and I would, and I could set sound posts. I can friction the whole thing. And I have a collection of violins and bows. Someday we'll all meet out there. I have like Vuillon bows, Tort bows. I've had the unenviable task of telling numerous generations that they don't have a Stradivarius, even though that's what the label says, kind of thing.
Right. Wait, so since you have such like this skill as like a luthier, basically, do you play the violin as well? Because you play a lot of instruments.
Well, growing up in a music store, I do. And the kind of rule of thumb was you got to be able to play a couple of songs on everything so you can sell it.
Oh.
So I could hack my way through Devil Went Down to Georgia probably with a few minutes to rehearse.
Okay. That's like, I feel like the #1 requested song that any violinist gets. So if you can play that, then
absolutely.
You're good, you know? You're good to go.
I have never played that and not sold the violin that I was actually trying to sell.
Okay, I've got a violin line right now, so I should probably play Devil Went Down to Georgia on the violins that I'm selling, according to you, and I think I'll sell out.
I think you're doing just fine without Devil Went Down to Georgia, but me, I was kind of beholden.
So no, I mean it's a great song. And okay, one thing I heard about this most recent album is that you know, speaking of being a multi-instrumentalist, you apparently played almost all the instruments on it. So I'm curious, was it kind of out of necessity because you just couldn't articulate how you wanted it from other players? Or like, was it just because you were there and you could? Like, how did that come into being?
Yeah, I had done it one time before on a record of mine called Both Sides of the Gun. And I only play all the instruments when I hear all the parts clearly. And on this record, I did.
Yeah.
Not
That's
all the
so
parts.
cool.
I brought in Jeff Burke. Jeff Burke is Harry Connick's horn man. And he is an assassin. He is a genius. And he came in and lifted this album up. Chris Joyner on keyboards, Larry Golding's on keyboards. I mean, I've had some guests, Deontay Siobhan, some background singers. So there were people that came in and definitely filled some gaps. But for the most part, structurally, I played the entire record.
That's amazing. Like, okay, can you name most of the instruments? I'm curious what instruments you played on it.
I played bass, upright bass, which, by the way, upright bass will ruin you for guitar. The moment you form upright bass calluses, which I had forgotten about this, you can forget like actually playing regular. It's okay for lap steel guitar, so I was okay there. But when I went back to actually try to feel my guitar strings, forget it, because it builds these like baseball bat calluses on the entire tops of your fingers. But neither here nor there. Upright bass, regular bass, piano, drums, percussion, guitar, and that's kind of the foundation of the record.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's got to be really cool to be able to articulate all those different pieces of a work. I find myself, I laugh at myself sometimes because all I play is the violin. And so when I'm working with producers, sometimes I'll send them the most ridiculous voice notes where I'm trying to imitate a synthesizer or a drum, but it's like just my mouth. And you know, anyways, all the producers I work with will laugh at me because that's me trying to articulate what I want. But gosh, that's so cool that you have the ability to just be like, no, I hear it and I'm going to play it exactly like I want it.
Chase it down. But also, don't get me wrong, I will hum a part. I'll hum a part, and I know, you know, Church and State and producers and charts and the battle will all forever rage on with humming and charting. But you know, after I saw the Beatles documentary, never underestimate the power of just chipping away at something till it's spot on, no matter how you have to get there. And I have hummed many parts to musicians, classical and otherwise, to get the point across.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to say that next time they make fun of me. I'll be like, never underestimate the power of a hum. Quote, Ben Harper.
Listen, you can hum it into a mic and then print it out with the program and hand it to somebody nowadays. But what's the point? You know, they should have a decent enough ear to hear what you're trying to, at least sketch what you're trying to get towards.
Absolutely. I'm curious, did you work on this album like in the beginning of the pandemic, or did you kind of wait to do it till things had started to open up?
I waited till things started to open up. It was recorded the last 2 months of 2021 and the first 2 months of this year.
Amazing. So this album has so many different I feel like genres in it. You know, you've got everything from like funk guitar to like a little bit of gospel. So what was like, where did all that inspiration come from? And do you feel like having all this different musical inspirations strengthen the message of the album?
You know, I grew up with a wide range of musical influences in the home. Both my mom and dad were musicians. My grandmother was an incredible multi-instrumentalist. And the instruments that we didn't have room for in our small family music shop ended up in our living room. So I could just reach for them and just kind of hack away at them, even as a kid. But on the record player, it was everything from Dolly Parton to Stevie Wonder, James Brown, the Jackson Five, just a mashup. So I could walk in the door, and on the weekends especially, it could be anything from Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie to Little Feat or Jackson Brown.
Yeah. So just, you grew up, I mean, the fact that you grew up with such a rich, you know, surrounding of all these different musical styles. And it's fun because you can hear it in the music. You can hear like bits of all of these different references.
Okay. But then again, are we the sum of our references, or are we just trying to do something purely us? I don't know, you know, because I don't want, I guess we're so far down the line, 100+ years into pop music or popular music. So it's hard not to be not to reference or influence subconsciously. But hopefully at the end of the day, we'll be able to make an imprint that is our own.
I mean, your music is definitely its own. You know, listening to it, for me, it's almost like a little bit of a puzzle, like, because you don't even realize it until, you know, you say some of these references, and then it's like, oh, I do catch pieces of inspiration from that. And I even look at my music where, you know, people ask me who my biggest inspirations are, and I'll be like, well, it's probably honestly Amy Lee from Evanescence and John Williams and Skrillex. And I think people would probably scratch their head a little bit and then say, oh, yeah, I hear it all. You know, I can hear it. And it's almost, like I said, a little puzzle that's brand new because of the way that you combined it together.
Can we talk about Skrillex for?
Oh my gosh, let's please talk. Yeah, let's talk about Skrillex.
I mean, yeah, he's just on some other business. He's just, I mean, it's wildly, it's incredible. That track he did with Justin Bieber, I probably played like 50,000 times.
He's a genius. And I just remember when I have met him. I've only like briefly met him in like passing. I heard him give a seminar, like it was like a musical seminar thing, and he spoke at it, and I quickly ran up at the end and said hi. You know, I was very excited to meet him. But yeah, I've never written with him, but he is, I just think, a genius. And what he did for the electronic music scene, you know, and he brought dubstep music somehow to like a melodic front. Amazing.
And the work he did with Damian Marley, and it's wild. I hear African, I know it's electronic, but I hear like ancient African music in his work. I really do. It strikes me as African, like modern techno African. It's just because I grew up with a lot of traditional African music, so I hear it. It's a trip.
Yeah, there it is.
Element, for sure.
Just putting the puzzle pieces together again. No, he's fantastic. Have you seen one of his live shows?
No.
If you're a fan, that is something you must do someday. It's quite extraordinary.
Okay. I'm ready. I'll get there. Per your note, I'll get there.
There you go. Great light show, great energy, just a good old time. So getting back to your music and your newest album, I read that it was inspired by your father, but also it was inspired by the loss of your friend and your longtime bassist, Juan Nelson. So how did they shape the meaning and the approach of this album?
Yeah, my dad shaped the album because a lot of the lyrics, more than half, are me putting pen to paper as would be a conversation with him. He passed in 98.
Wow.
And it's taken this long to actually reconcile his passing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
this record was a big part of that. His sense of humor, his wit, and like there's a line in the song "Smile at the Mention" where it talks about driving through the South. And my dad used to talk about driving through the South, and he'd look at these open fields. When Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, my dad got on the bus and drove to Georgia to his funeral. And he talked about looking out the bus window at the open fields and, welling up. And that always stuck with me. So a lot of our conversations and his humor is in this record. And also, the passing of, I don't want to bring the show down, and just, make it about that. But it is a big piece of this record. And I lost the bass player, number one, Innocent Criminal. My band's Innocent Criminals, Juan Nelson. And Juan, Lindsey, you would have loved Juan. Everyone who ever met Juan, you would touch Juan for good luck.
Oh.
And he was not just a bass player, but have you ever known these musicians who, in their instrument, they cover the ground of a horn section, keyboards, a second guitarist, a gospel choir? He absolutely filled all this space just with his bass.
Wow.
It was really special.
It's interesting the way you describe Juan. He sounds so much like my keyboard player, my first keyboard player I ever had, who unfortunately he passed away as well, several years. And so, it's just amazing how some people have that magnetic personality where they fill a room with light. They make people feel loved. They're everybody's good luck charm, like you said. And anyways, it's that kind of a person leaves such a lasting mark on everybody that they met. And, and I think it's amazing that you immortalized these people through your album. I don't think that's a downer at all. I think that's incredibly inspiring.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the space to talk about them.
Yeah. And, and I'm so sorry about the loss of your father. I lost my dad as well several years ago. So I relate so strongly to being able to use music as a place to honor them. And I think that's really beautiful, the story you told about your dad and, driving through the fields. And anyways, I love that you put it in your music.
Right on. It does feel like a direct line to him when I can connect creatively with him, as did a lot of this record was written on the bass because I couldn't reconcile losing Juan. I picked up an upright bass, oddly, and just started thumping away. And that's kind of that hit the accelerator on finishing this record.
Oh, I love that. Do you, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but do you believe that our angels exist and that they can still be a part of our lives?
Heck yeah, why not?
I do too. And
yes.
I think one of my favorite things, oddly, one of my favorite little side life hobbies is I love looking for signs from my keyboard player and my dad that they've got my back and that they're around. And
what was your keyboard player's name? What was his name?
His name was Gavi. Yeah.
Okay.
His name was Jason Gaviotti, but everybody called him Gavi. And he was just a magnetic, amazing human, probably a lot like Juan.
All right, because I want to look him up. I want to hear him. I want to, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You were saying angels, looking for the signs. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's about it. I just I tell people all the time now in very even casual conversations about oh, I got a sign from my angels today. I saw this. I know my angels are looking out for me. It's become such a casual relationship. And of course I would much rather have them here. If I could choose, I would much rather have them here. But it does give me a sense of comfort to believe that, they're still a part of my life and they're my guardians now.
Can I tell you a story about Juan in that regard?
Please, yes.
I'll bring it in for a quick landing. We were just starting out, and we were driving in vans, carrying our own gear, setting up our own equipment, basically doing everything except our own sound engineering. We'd either we'd hire local sound engineers, and it was just ragtag, in the van, early 90s. And we ended up having to fly to Vermont from New York for a gig in Vermont, then fly back, leave the van. So we carried all our gear, got it all on the plane, got all the dirty looks from, checking all our bags, too many bags.
Yeah.
We the drill. We arrive in that little Vermont airport, Burlington Airport, and our ride, as was always the case back then, was late or non-existent. So we're there and we're sitting around waiting for our ride with 10,000 pounds of instrument gear, and a couple of the guys went in the distance to smoke a cigarette, and Juan and I were just sitting there, and all of a sudden, Juan's on one side, I'm sitting next to him, and a bird behind us was glass, and a bird flies into this glass. And I mean, you could hear it, the smash, the crack, and it falls down in between us. And there's this bird that is neck tweak, it's just sitting there. And we look at this bird, like, damn, that's terrible. That was traumatic.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there for a minute, and I'm looking around, and I said, Juan, this is Vermont. There's got to be a tree around here where I can bury this bird. I'm going to go bury this bird, just to go ahead and take care of it, do right by it. And Juan looks at me and he says, well, let's pray over it first.
Aw.
And I was like, nah, I'm just going to bury it. Cause yeah, that's a different conversation. But nonetheless, I was kind of like, I was just going to take care of it and just bury it. He said, no, we have to pray over it. I said, okay. All right, man. Okay. So he puts his hands, dear Lord, thank you for this bird's life and all it gave to the earth. And, thank you for this. Thank you for the birds and this bird, and, and please, protect it on its journey, on its way. And he says, amen. And the minute he enunciates the N in men, the bird popped up, looked at Juan, looked at me, shook its tail feathers, and flew off.
Oh my gosh. He was a miracle worker.
And Juan looked at me like, he didn't even like rub it. He just looked at me like he did it yesterday. He had done it like 3 times before this. I was like, okay, man. All right. You win.
Oh my gosh. What a magical soul. Holy cow.
It was something else.
I love that. Well, he's one of those people that it's like, oh man, now I wish I had met Juan,
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's a really special story. Switching gears a little bit, though, I'm curious. You played, I heard, on Harry Styles' new album. So how did that collaboration come to be?
Oh, yeah, I got the call, and it was what a call to get. And went into the studio. He was very specific about the guitar sound that he was looking for, and I happened to have that guitar. I had actually given the guitar that he had asked for me to bring. I had given it to my daughter, but my daughter happened to be home on summer break from college.
Oh.
And it was really funny. I went and I said, Harris, you're home. You didn't happen to bring the guitar I gave you? It was the guitar I used on I had written and recorded the majority of my first few records on this specific acoustic guitar. But my daughter is a genius. Her name is Harris Harper, and she's a bona fide lyrical genius as far as I'm concerned. So she needed to have this guitar. Like I always listen to the cries of my instruments, and so I gave her that guitar. But so when Harry wanted that instrument, I was like, Harris, did you bring the Martin? Like, yeah, sure. And I said, can I borrow it for a session today? She said,
oh my
sure.
gosh.
So I went to pick it up. She goes, who is it for? Because all my kids were huge 1D fans as well, posters on the walls. And she said, who? Because she knows if I needed that guitar, like I would never take something back from my kids. Who is it for? I said, I can't tell you because I don't know if I'm going to make it or, this is for these types of high powered sessions, it's like getting a call from Steely Dan or something. You know what I mean? Like you don't know if you're going to end up on the session, but you go. So I said, listen, let me just see how it goes, you know? All right. So let me just see. And then I'll tell you. She goes, all right, Dad. Okay. So I get the guitar, go in. It's the best session ever. He's the most incredible artist and the most wonderful human being I've ever met. Go in. We work on the part. We finally, after a lot of trial and error and, you know, ideas around the room and geniuses in the room. I mean, Kid Harpoon, Tyler, it's just it was a great sort of sonic think tank for finding the part. We found the part, laid it down, and it was very exciting. Very exciting that it made it on. It made the cut. So then when I brought the guitar back, my daughter says, Dad, who is it? She's an intuit as well. She could intuit it. She knew something was up.
Yeah.
Because she knows I have like 50 guitars in my living room. If I need that one, it's a special session. She's like, right. Who is it? And I look down. She goes, Dad, is it? And I look at her. I didn't even have to say.
She just knew?
And she just fell over. She just fell.
Oh my gosh.
The best moment.
That is so
and I was
cool.
able to take her to a show of his, and they met, and he was able to thank her for loaning me the guitar. It was great.
Well, and now she owns a guitar that was played on his album. Like, that's so cool as a fan. Like, wow.
And instant classic album too. So it's just fun. Yeah. It's exciting to be on a record like that.
For sure. Well, and you're touring with him now. Speaking of live shows, aren't you? Or like his upcoming tour dates. You're going to be opening the show, right?
I'm opening for 15 shows at the Forum in LA.
Which is insane to mention. Also, they sold out instantly. I'd say I would come and see you, but they sold out as soon as the tickets were announced. So that is
I'll get
incredible.
You. No, Lindsay, I got you. I got you covered. Of course. Come on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I will be there in a heartbeat, because I really want to see one of your live shows, and that's
get
just
there
so
early. You know, get there early.
I will. Oh, I will. I will be in my seat. I'll be the first one there, ready to go, well before you go on stage. But I mean, this has been so fun chatting with you. I know it's like 3 a.m. your time. So before I let you go, is there anything else you want to share about, anything else that you're excited about?
No, this is great. Thank you for playing the music and for the talk and your patience for me having to run out and get some headphones.
No, thank you for being the MVP of the day and doing that. Well, I can't wait till your show. And again, congrats on the new album. And everybody, go check it out. Go listen to it, because the whole thing is amazing. And
Fish.
Can't wait.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Will do. You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Okay. Let's see. We'll bring Fish back on here because we lost her. The app is just having some troubles today. And then also, I think we'll play another one of Ben's songs. Fish, you back?
I'm back. Yeah, thankfully I got to hear that awesome conversation, but the app crashed on me and kicked me off. How rude.
Oh, sorry. You are the weakest link.
Goodbye. Yeah, I'm glad that we got to talk to him. That was such a fun conversation. Oh my gosh, I would love to see him live.
I have a feeling you're going to be my +1.
Yay!
Sorry, I should say if I get a +1. It's a pretty coveted show.
Yeah.
So
that's okay. I would understand, and I would be okay with you going without me.
Here's the thing. I love live shows so much. I love seeing other artists be great at what they do. Like there's something so fun about watching how everybody does it so differently. And I would be so excited to see Ben live, because he's such an instrumentalist, and he's such a talented multi-instrumentalist. So just as an instrumentalist myself, I'm like, I would love to see the way he uses that in his shows.
I have a question. Do you know if he and his family still own the music shop in Claremont? I missed that part of the conversation.
They do. He said that his son now like helps run it, and I think he said this. Oh, what did he say? The 5th or 6th generation, like to like help run it.
We have had your violins restringed. I should know that term, and I don't. In Claremont, in that area.
Stop.
I wonder. I'll have to hit up Terry and ask him. I remember him saying, "Oh, I'm taking them to this cute little, music shop. Then they're gonna restring it for us." And I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was while we were rehearsing out there. That's very close to where we rehearse.
My gosh. Okay. Well, let's find out, because that would be such a fun little nugget of information to be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, that would be incredible. We'll have to research that, and we'll just have to, next time we're out there, we'll have to go visit.
Yeah. We'll have to go say hi and, get my violin strung by the pros.
Yeah. Do you want to listen to another song?
Yes, I do, actually. So we're going to play Diamonds on the Island. So here we go, everybody. Awesome. I love that. He really does have such a unique sound to his music.
I think I've become his new biggest fan. Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Yeah. I can't wait to play that with the windows down, just rolling down the highway.
It feels like just that kind of classic music that like you hear in your favorite movie, and that you play on your road trip, and that you listen to while you're like at the beach with friends. It's like that kind of a like life soundtrack kind of music.
It sounds like that song sounded like Golden Hour to me.
Also, I mean this in the best way possible, but the movie Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Doesn't it just feel like that would be like the soundtrack of that kind of like Americana, like, hey, we're in this together, like kind of a movie? I don't know. I could feel it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I feels very much like every single person at a venue would be like, moving in sync to that and just like feeling that energy at the same time. Oh, right. So good. So good.
Okay. We're going to go to that concert. And I'm stoked. Manifesting it right now. Wait, we don't have to manifest it. He already invited us.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. Should we take one of our friends, our call-in friends?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We've got...
I wish, actually, wouldn't it be great if Lacey, if you're listening, will you call in right now? Can we finally get you on a call? I know she's around. I know she's listening.
Do you think she'd come in as Flopcorn?
She would. Oh, that's a good question. I actually don't know if she would come. She would either come in under her name or Andy's name, one or the other.
I love Flopcorn. That's like Lacey's username for a lot of things, and it's the best. It's
I need to know the story behind it.
I was just gonna say that. I need to know the story behind Flopcorn. I just accepted it, and then I forgot to ask. Okay, I'm just gonna invite one of our friends to join. Let's see, Keith. I'm gonna invite Keith. Okay. Bring it on, Keith P. Hey, Keith, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. My God, I can't believe that I'm actually talking to you again. I saw you Christmas concert in Reading, PA last December. Did a meet and greet.
Well, it's good to chat with you again. What did you think of the show?
Oh, it was awesome. It was like one of my bucket list things.
Oh, so, really? I was on your bucket list?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
No, I followed you ever since you were on AGT, and
wow.
I can't even believe I'm talking to you right now. Awesome.
That's great. Well, how are you today? What's new in your life, or what's going on in your life these days?
Well, other than talking to you, nothing.
I guess all of our own
man.
lives seem so unexciting because we live them every day. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
But
And I'm like a retired dude and pretty much live in Pennsylvania. Not much to
Oh,
do here.
nice.
oh, well, it's a
And
beautiful place.
it is, but I used to live in Florida like for 7 years. And then I came back here because my family was here. But I love Florida, no doubt about it. But I have a question for you.
Oh, yes.
Where are you going to be? Are you going to be in Pennsylvania for your Christmas concert this year?
Ooh, that's a great question. I do not know the answer off the top of my head. Fish, have you seen the tour dates and do you remember?
It's gonna take me a second.
No.
Well, we don't know. We were sent a tour.
Yeah, we have a vague idea, and I don't know where that vague idea is located at this moment.
Yeah, they did send us some tour dates. It's lost in my email, but I didn't memorize it. I just kind of glanced through it. But I know we are going in direction.
Yeah.
We'll be over there. I
will
just
be over
can't
there.
remember. But
Yeah.
stay tuned because I think late July is when we're going to be announcing the tour date. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be coming somewhere close because I will have a new Christmas album this year. So it will be a completely different show than the one you saw last year, which just makes me so excited. So yeah,
And
hopefully
me
we'll.
too. I mean, I thought your show was awesome. I was like in the second row, which actually was a little bit too close to the speakers and whatnot. But
yeah.
I'll tell you, I loved every minute of it.
Oh, well, that just makes my heart so full.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you on the road.
Yeah, thanks so much
I'll
for
be there.
calling and chatting with us, Keith. I hope you have a good rest of your night.
You too, and I can't wait to see you again.
Okay, take
See
care.
you later, Keith.
All right,
Bye.
I do think we have a Kogi pan in the call-in, maybe?
A Kogi pan? That sounds like a type of dog.
Well, I think it's a type of Lacey.
Oh. Wait, what? Koga pan is Lacey? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's
I'm inviting.
It's name, but it's Lacey.
Okay, here she comes. Everybody, this is potentially Lacey who tours with us.
Lacey, you have to unmute.
Oh. Hello.
Hi.
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 This is so special.
It is 3:30 a.m. right now.
Oh my gosh, Lacey.
The fact that you're awake does not surprise me.
Yeah, both you and Ben Harper chatting it through the night.
Yeah.
But here's the question, Lacey.
Oh gosh, what? Oh no.
Do you care enough about us to run to the corner store to get headphones like Ben Harper? Because I am wildly impressed by that. I just got to revisit that real quick.
I am still so impressed by that as well.
That's crazy. He gets major bonus points because of that.
Major bonus points.
Like most people would just give up and say, you know what, not going to work today, maybe another day. But I love that he was like, I'm going to take the next 15 minutes and sprint. And he made it back.
That's amazing.
So humble too. He has like all of these things that he's done, and like you would never have known that. Like he's so humble.
So humble, so kind, and just like, you know, talking about family and like how cool that I love the story about him borrowing his guitar from his daughter to record on the Harry Styles album. That's so cool.
So cool. So cool. Lacey, do you want to tell, I mean, obviously I'm not forcing you, but do you want to tell us where you are, what you're doing?
No.
What's going on in the life of
suddenly
Lacey?
Became an interrogation. Where are you and what are you doing?
I am currently on tour with Imagine Dragons. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them though, but so Imagine Dragons, and I'll be in a few hours. I'm catching a train in an hour. But I'll be in Berlin.
Nice.
Oh, fun. How much longer is the tour?
till for another like 2.5 weeks until the middle of July.
Oh my gosh.
We miss you.
We miss you so much. Tell everybody what you do on tours and what you do actually on my tour too.
Oh, sure. So I help with the VIP program. So I like to call it a chaos coordinator because it always feels like things are chaotic. But it's kind of fun. I think I handle pretty much all of the things that people experience at the VIP programs. So like the parties that we have, the meet and greet setup and all of that fun jazz, and then the frantic tear down so that it can be gone before doors open. And then, just having a good old time. Fish, you don't hear this, but I have the best job on the tour.
No.
No, I have the best job on the tour.
I don't know.
Lacey, I feel like you and I are going to have to fight for that.
Well, and me, I honestly do. I think I have the best job on the tour.
I mean, honestly, okay, let's analyze this. The dancers come in about 2.
Okay, all right.
Do some stretching, some yoga, maybe go shop for a few hours. And then they come back and they hit it hard, yeah. But maybe we should the 3 of us should maybe consider that the dancers have the best job on tour.
Oh my gosh, the dancers have I don't even want to say easiest. They have the least longevity demanding job on the tour. I was trying to say that the most like politically correct way possible.
Yeah.
I love though that we all think we have the best job on the tour. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Wait, Lacey, I want to hear why you feel that way.
I'm so sorry. Just because I do. I think this is kind of the neat part is I get to actually like meet your fans. And I know that that's silly, but like I get to interact and sort of know your fans on a different level. And so I've been around long enough now that I'm seeing repeat fans to like, see them and chat with them and catch up with them. And it's like seeing family on the road again. Like you're like, oh, you get so excited to see these people come back. And it's really sweet and great. And, especially with Discord too, like being able to keep up with people, it's really nice to like actually put faces and names together and, so.
Yeah. I will say Lacey is so good at her job as well. Like, and she's probably so good at it because she like genuinely loves it, as you can tell. And so if anyone does come to a meet and greet, you are dealing not only with Lacey on the day of, but Lacey takes care of her meet and greet people. She's already, I swear, a year ago, thinking of ideas for like the next tour and how we could improve the VIP experience. And like I remember our last tour. One last little story. I remember our last Christmas tour, actually. Lacey came to me the day, but like 2 days before the tour was starting. We're already in this first city. And she was like, some things just don't feel right with the VIP. But don't worry, I have ideas. And Lacey was running to stores to get craft supplies the day before the first show in a city she didn't know to like make sure that the fans had a great experience.
She is definitely a problem solver.
Urgent theme shopping.
Yeah.
Lacey always does a good job of taking care of like the crew members too. Like I often get myself into a situation where I am just over capacity. And I think there was one time, I don't remember the end of this day, but there was one time, it was in Phoenix after we taped the show. I don't remember going to bed that night, but I did end up in my bunk tucked in. And it was because Lacey got me to my bunk. I was just so exhausted. And I don't remember, but I know that Lacey took care of me and got me to where I needed to go.
And she will do that for every single one of you fans that comes.
Yes.
Into your bunk. Yes.
In an emotional capacity, in a different way, but like...
Yeah, we'll wrap you up in a nice warm blanket. Hopefully that's the feeling you get. Well, you feel like you've been wrapped up in a nice warm blanket by the time
That's what I meant. Yes, exactly. Well,
Running late. Can I ask one question, Lindsay?
yes. Which Lindsay?
You.
Oh.
If you had to take one other person's job, like if you weren't a performer on the stage and you could take one other person's like crew job, what would it be?
That's an
answer either.
That's a great question.
Answer carefully.
Maybe you need some time.
No, I'm gonna answer this right now. Honestly, it would probably be your assistant if you had an assistant.
Oh my God.
Your job is really hard, but also I do think I would be more inclined to take a job like that. I think I'd be so bad at Fish's job that our tour would be a disaster, but I feel like being with people and making people happy is something like, because Fish can't do that. No, Fish is terrible at that.
I am. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But no, I would probably want to work with the fans, to be honest, because I do love my fans.
I think that just solidifies I have the best job.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I love it. Well, Lacey, we sure miss you. You'll have to let us. I miss you, and I'll look forward to hearing you on the next Marco Polo.
Yeah. Thank you guys for letting me come in for a couple minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We love you so much, and thanks all the fans for joining us today. And with that, I think we'll say goodbye and end the show. We'll see you next week. Next week will also be on a different day. I apologize, but it's because I'll be flying during our Wednesday hour. So don't worry. We'll have a show next week with me and I think Fish and the dancers. So Stay tuned. I'll announce when that's going to be. But we love you and thanks for joining us this week. Sayonara.
Bye-bye.